Welcome back to Conference Live. I'm Jerry Katzman, and we're here with Dan Probst from Jones Lang LaSalle. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. You know, telecommand seems to get a bigger and bigger presence each year, more people talking about it. What's new and what's happening with you at this year's conference?
Well, lots changed since we talked last year. Last year we were still kind of a startup mode. We had really kind of one major client at that time, about a dozen buildings, and now we're up to a little over a dozen clients, quickly approaching 100 buildings, quickly approaching 20 million square feet. So a lot of growth in a short period of time.
What's the secret?
Well, we're delivering results. So that's the fun part. Is it's starting to prove itself. We've got good case studies. We've got real world examples that we can talk about. And when you're able to come and talk to more people about, here's what we did for this client, and here are the savings that we delivered, then it starts to become more real. You get traction. So just having it be successful and deliver meaningful savings. We're seeing consistently, 10, 20% energy savings for clients, along with some operational improvements. Paybacks very consistently less than 18 months, which that gets a lot of people's attention right away.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's one of the things that has surprised you? You have a product, it works, and then there's one thing that we didn't expect that to work. What's been some of the surprising stuff?
Well, I think part of it is finding things that can be improved in building systems and equipment that you might think the on-site team would have noticed,
Yeah.
but there's good reasons why they don't. And we're always, one of the lessons that we've also learned is we really need to engage with the on-site building operating engineering team. They need to be part of the solution. From their perspective, sometimes these things are threatening.
Sure.
Big Brother's watching. They're going to find things that I didn't find. But our point is, it's more like giving a doctor an MRI machine, right? It helps them do deeper diagnostics on the buildings. It helps them find things that, unless they have enough engineers to sit and watch every valve and damper open and close and operate all day long, they're just not going to see these things the way technology can see them.
So what's one of the surprising things that you found and you went, God, you have to call the building owner and say, did you know this is going on? So what's one of those things?
Well, some of them are just the things you hear about all the time, places where there's simultaneous heating and cooling occurring.
Sure.
One thing that we find very consistently are building economizer cycles. So when a building can use outside air for free cooling, a lot of times those systems aren't working right. And the reason that's an interesting example usually is that if it's not working right, the building systems are very resilient. So if it's not using outside air for cooling, it turns on a compressor and people in the space are still happy. So
Right.
no one's calling to say I'm too hot or I'm too cold.
Right.
And if it's a rooftop air conditioning unit, engineers generally only check on those quarterly. So it's not unusual that they wouldn't know that it's not operating right. And again, with technology, you can know, hey, it's cool outside, you should be using free cooling, but you're running a compressor, something's wrong, go look at it. So that's kind of a fun example.
When you first call a client and say, hey, listen, you've got this really, really big inconsistency going on, is there a little bit of resistance at first when they hear it, or is it immediately adopted?
It's usually pretty immediately adopted.
And then what's the response when after 3 months in they get their bill and it's 18, 20% less?
Well, obviously that's one of the big goals, and they're very excited about that. We're also finding that reactive work orders are decreasing because we're identifying things in some cases before there's a real issue where a tenant might call and complain.
Wow.
So that's another thing that they're very happy to see happening. So
where do you see it going? I mean, you now have a product, it works, it's getting the results that you want. What's next?
Well, our focus has been, very much on energy and energy savings. But one of the things we've realized is that as long as we're there and we're pulling data out of the building from the building automation systems, we can also be doing other things. We can monitor security alarms. We can monitor other alarms in the building. So that's a kind of an easy tag on. And then just growth in different asset types and different geographies. We're starting to expand overseas. I think as things like smart grid get deployed more, then these buildings will be in a better position to take advantage of those features. So that's positioning buildings to take advantage of some pending opportunities. So that's kind of what's next, or in some cases, optimizing use of alternative energy sources with conventional energy sources. So there's certainly other things on the horizon, other benefits that can come from these installations.
If someone wants to get their feet wet with telecommand or likewise system, how do you just kind of start trying it out without going full hog?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we have some clients where they're deploying in a big portfolio, but it's not unusual. In fact, it's often a good idea to kind of start small, start with one building, kind of get a proof of concept going. Identify, not every building is a great candidate, so identify the right buildings and get in and kind of test the thing out. Take it for a test drive, and then if that's successful, then kind of expand from there.
Very cool. Dan, thank you very much for coming and telling us a little bit more.
Thank you.
Love it. And if you need more information, visit joneslanglelasalle.com.
Yes.
And where are you guys on the conference floor?
We're right over here near the entrance.
Fantastic.
And
Great
we have
location.
a little booth, so stop by.
Very good.
Okay.
Dan, thank you very much.
Thanks.